Grab your pre-workout and turn up that volume. It is time for a new episode of the Powerlifter's Den with your host, Cam Smith. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerlifter's Den. I'm your host, Cam Smith, and today I want to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Bain, one of the greatest backspotters in the sport of powerlifting, as well as a great lifter. Robert, why don't you introduce yourself?
You gotta be very careful when you say that. Back spotter, back shotter. I got a lot of kids, so I guess, yeah, you technically say that. But for those who don't know, my name is Robert Bain. I live in the Chicagoland area. Been married for almost 20 years. Actually, in April will be 20 years. Married to Nikki. We got 4 kids. We've got an amazing grandchild named Violet, a couple of cats, a dog. And then outside of my awesome hobby of powerlifting, I've been working in logistics transportation space for almost 20 years as well. I consult around that space now, and it's been a fun ride. It's powerlifting has been alongside of it for about half the journey, and it's been really, really cool.
Yeah, so before we kind of get into your background, we'll talk about the first time I ran into you. It was at the, I think, Strength of Heroes 2, I believe that one was, no, 3. This year was 4, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so Strength of Heroes 3, he was a fan of my Hulk singlet and my, we'll just say package. And,
just giving the people what they wanted, man, commentary.
And then, from there, we've been connected. We have a lot of similar friends, but from there on, let's talk about what kind of got you into the sport. You mentioned a creepy Russian dude, so.
I did, yeah, in the questionnaire. So to kind of back it up a little bit, I played soccer my whole life, which now you look at me, because you see me in person, like, no one believes that. Like, dude, you're 275 pounds. There's no way. Like, but yes, I played soccer for almost 30 years. And first love, pitch gave me everything. I met my wife at a soccer tournament. Best man at my wedding was one of my teammates. Like, the pitch gave me a lot. But alongside that, because I got good enough at soccer, because I played in high school, played in college, played semi-pro, did all that stuff. And my dad coached me for a long time, but I got to the point that he just couldn't. It was way outside of his depth. But my dad and I made it a point that we wanted to spend time together and not just sitting at home. Like we loved pro wrestling, and we would love watching like pay-per-views and stuff, but we wanted to do things together. And soccer took up a lot of my time. And so we figured out we both liked things, and he liked collecting stamps. I like sports, and he's like, "Oh, sports cards may be a fun thing for us to do together." So it's a kind of abbreviated version. My dad and I started dealing sports cards. We moved to Iowa back in the mid '90s, which was the coolest thing ever. I wasn't at a tournament. I was traveling around the Midwest slinging sports cards with my dad, and invariably what we would do is we get to the place Thursday, set up with the show promoter. We would work all day Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, finish the day, pack up, and we head home. But on Friday and Saturday nights, invariably there were reruns on ESPN2 of World's Strongest Man and sumo wrestling tournaments. And I fell in love with the concept of being strong watching that. Like, that just looked incredible. Also realizing, like, I am not 6'4". I will never be able to do what those guys do in that context. But like, the concept of being strong, like, really stuck with me. Fast forward to college, and I got hurt my shoulder, and the doc's like, "Hey man, you're a $150, and if you had some meat on your bones, like, this probably would have been a stinger. You wouldn't even be in my office right now." But I had separated my shoulder, like, it was a whole thing. So I took that to heart, and I started lifting. And first 2 guys that I ever trained with, they were introduced to me by a couple of my teammates, because they were just kind of like, I called them the soccer groupies for all intents. We went to small school, so. But Travis and Nick both were alternates for WWF at that time, WWE now. They were jobbers, so whenever they would come to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, they were on the crew. Either they were getting the shit beat out of them. Sorry, I didn't ask if we could swear, but so either getting beat up or they were just working the arena. And so they told me, like, "Hey, you can train with us, but we're not dropping the weight for you. Like, you either keep up with us or you're out." And which I look back on it now, like, that prepared me for powerlifting right there. Either keep up or you get out, man. And I got strong quick. And so I focused on lifting for sport. I played soccer, I ran track, did all that, and then continued playing soccer after college, and all the way up until my early 30s. And I got hurt again, and I'm training at the YMCA here in Des Plaines, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. And yes, this creepy Russian guy sees me. And I say that with all love in the world. Greg is amazing. I'm still great friends with Greg. He has been a part of this journey literally since the beginning because I was repping out 4 plates at a YMCA. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And my technique was terrible, but I was doing it. I was just muscling everything up. And so he tweaked a couple things with like pulling my elbows in, how to brace my core, setting my feet because I have wider hips, so setting my feet a little wider. And he threw another plate on. So I'm something like a 495 on a commercial gym bar. Walked out, no belt, and I did a set of 5, and I'm like, whoa, like what did you just do? And also like, that's amazing because it felt lighter than the 405. So he basically bullies me into doing a meet, and I see the meet is scheduled as an Illinois State meet, and it was scheduled for March 16th, which is my birthday. So I'm like, well, that's a sign. Like, and I tell this story in every arena I can because this is what made me fall in love with powerlifting. So it's 24-hour weigh-in, go weigh in. We're at Sycamore, Illinois, middle of nowhere, and I go weigh in and we come in the gym. And it's a high school gymnasium, so most people can picture what that looks like. You know, the stands pull out, all that. And I see these things called monoliths. I don't know what they are. Never seen them before in my life. And I see what I think is a too tight singlet, but it's a canvas squat suit. Again, I have no concept of multiply powerlifting in any of this mess. And there's between 950 and 1,000 pounds on the bar. And I am no one is confirmed 100%, but I'm 90% sure it was Corey Akers who was taking this, who was eventually a guy that I trained with our team with Wolfpack. And he stands up, hosts come away, again, nothing I've ever seen before, and I start hearing the sounds. And you've seen this at a multiply meet or any meet. Back, open, like all the cues. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? And then I can remember this clear as day. Like as clear as like seeing my children born. Up. And as soon as he hears up, or it clicks, as he's coming up, blood shoots out of his nose, hits the ref in the jersey. It's pouring down his face. Stands up, rack, hooks come in, 2 white lights, place goes bananas, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. And I look at my wife and she's like, the fuck have you gotten us into? So she texts my parents. And my parents look up powerlifting online, and the first thing they see is the picture of Scott Mendelson with a huge bruise from tearing his back. They're like, you want to do this? I'm like, yes, this is cool. And that's what got me into powerlifting is doing that. And I did the meet the next year, and kind of what solidified it was then I met a bunch of people in this area. I know Chicagoland area is a huge hotbed for powerlifting, right? You've got Ernie Franz, you've got Sergio, you've got a legacy that Ernie has left, with the Lily Bridges and with Matt Manuth and these great gyms around the area. Ed Cohen's from here, so like all this real great powerlifting history. And I meet like Barzine Vaziri and his wife. Bar's one of the best benchers of all time. A couple of guys that I was friends with in Iowa were competing. And so it turns out like one of the guys that I used to work with was competing in this meet. He had married a girl that my wife cheered with in college. So this small world, like this is dope. Like this is so cool. And it's got me hooked. And so now, 11 years later, almost, here we are.
Yeah. And I think one of that moment with the blood spurting on the ref, that's kind
so
of like it's kind of like a moment where it's like, all right, well, you're either in love with this or you're terrified and you're never going to step near it again.
Correct. But it was that was something that always resonated with me. And I have other, like my soccer teammates that I talk to still, and they're like, this totally makes sense. Like all of us thought that you were fucking crazy. And because I love training, I love practice. If we got punished with laps or whatever, like, oh, let's go. I want to drill you into the ground because I want to see what's going to make you break. And they're like, so this makes total sense that you would fall for something like this. Well, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that's what makes multiply so cool is like it's literally pushing your body to the most extreme possible limits. And when you're trying to explain like what equipped lifting is to like a normal person that they might even be a gym rat, but they don't really know about powerlifting, it's like, well, I use this canvas suit and I basically turn purple and I try to lift this crazy amount of weight. They're like, what the fuck does that even mean?
I put on my power panties and then I wear my fancy suit, and it's so much it's overkill, and it's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So over the past 10 years of competing or 11 years of competing, maybe let everybody know what your best competition numbers are.
Yeah. Best squats 1063. did that last year. Actually, yeah, last year, 2023. Best bench is 610. Best pull is 705. Best multiplied total is 2300. Best raw was 1731. All at 275. I think it hit all those numbers, 275.
Yeah. And then as far as kind of the back spotting, that's kind of something that with your podcast, as well as just seeing you at these high level meets and the praise you get for kind of just putting in those hard hours and stuff. It's
Yeah.
something that it might be underappreciated in the sport and something that's very important for the safety and the efficiency of meets.
Yeah. And so a couple of things I can mention about that. I know that wasn't a certain question, but it is something that I certainly am known for is spotting and platform management. And if I have to be very honest, I got into it because I wanted to help. There was a gym that I used to train at. I will not name names for a variety of reasons, but they did an autism benefit meet every year, and our oldest son is on the spectrum, so it's something very near and dear to me and my wife. And I was like, hey, I just want to help out. Like, what can I do? Like, well, like I'll help raise money, like whatever. But like, I would love to be there because I also knew that people were going to go for big lifts. I knew specifically Barzine was going to be taking his first run of the 1,000-pound bench in a poly shirt, which, you know, I don't care. I don't care what kind of shirt you're in. By the way, like 1,000-pound bench, 1,000-pound bench. It's crazy.
Yeah.
To hold that much weight over your face. So, but I wanted to be there for that, and so I got the spot. And again, I have these things that like crystallize in my mind when I think back to certain moments that in the moment was kind of innocuous, but now I look back, it's like, yeah, this is a fork in the road. It was just quiet. And like, this was 2 or 3 guys before Bars was coming up. I want to say it was Dan Borchel, who used to play for the Bears. Now is kind of a big bench only guy here in Chicago. And he was doing like 530, like a 530 opener raw bench. Like, dude, one, former Bear. I hate the Bears, like, because they suck. Sorry, I like winning. Go Pack Go. But I was like, dude, like, how can we not be cheering for this guy? So I kind of started like, getting the crowd kind of into it and talking smack to the crowd, and they got into it. And then when Bars comes up and he's opening at like 870 something, and it's like now people are getting into it. And so I recognized that there was something with that. And really, what got me thrown into the back spotting was the 2020 WPO semifinals, the COVID Classic. We had some guys that were so ESPN had done the 2019 WPO finals, the one out in Chicago. Generally speaking, positive reviews from all that. But they loved because that was when I got kind of like tagged as the hype guy because I was yelling and screaming because we didn't have an in-ring announcer or anything. So ESPN said we want all those guys back, whole squad. Well, then last minute ESPN pulled out. There's a whole thing with that. I could do a whole other podcast just on that. But then also people weren't allowed to take off work here in Illinois. Like things started shutting down pretty early, and so people were really nervous about the whole COVID thing. So they were like, "Hey, like you can't take off work. Like if you're going anywhere, you don't come back." So people were afraid of losing their jobs. So it was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm not going to the classic." So I got thrown into back spotting for that, and I just treated it like I do my training sessions. Like you're gonna get cues. Like unless you tell me like shut up, I'm gonna keep doing that, and people liked it. That's the general consensus I got. So taking all that, and the reason I kind of come back to this now becomes I do like I like attention, but I like bringing attention to things that are cool, that are dope, because I don't think that's always in our niche sport. We don't do a good job of that. There's not necessarily great communicators amongst the meatheads. Who knew? so that's what I was trying to do. I wanted to communicate to the crowd. Who a lot of times in the crowd, you've got either your teammates who kind of know or do know, or like the lay people who have no idea. It's like, oh, neat, 700 pounds. We've seen 9 other people do this. Yes, but it's the first woman to do it, so maybe get excited, like as an aside, right? So doing stuff like that, and I got very, very into the technicalities of how to spot with, on the sides, like how you do it, like specifically where you place your arms and your hands, and how you account for the idea that you can't think fast enough when things go wrong. You have to allow your body's natural reactions to move faster than your brain's going to think. And then if you're, on a back spotting position, what matters? What do you need to do when things go catastrophically wrong? Someone gets hurt, someone goes to sleep. What do you do to keep that lifter safe, keep the team safe, keep you safe? And also, if there's a stream, like you don't cause like something that's going to be on King of the Lifts for the next 10 years because it's a catastrophe. So so I took a lot of time and did that and poured a lot of energy into that. And it led me to meet great people like Kyle O'Leary, Anna Descharme, other folks that are incredible spotters. And yeah, we started Kyle really spearheaded it, but I was able to advise on it. Was the Full Send initiative, which is all designed around teaching people how to spot correctly. Because I'm not gonna lie, like it drives me nuts when I see some of these big lifts. I see Jesus Oliveras taking 1,000-pound squat, and you got two teenagers on each side looking like they're jerking off the bar. That just drives me nuts, man. Like either suck its dick or get away from it. Like,
Yeah, and for in terms
it's
of
crazy to me.
the hype aspect of spotting, I think that's something that you go to some meets and someone's taking a huge lift, whether it's just for them or in general, and people are just quiet, and you're like, where the fuck is the noise? Like, this is an insane lift. It might not be an all-time world record, but it's still a crazy lift for someone to hit.
Well, yeah, and that's like a good example of that. It was the 2023 Showdown of Storm down in Daytona Beach. There had three guys in a row that were taking their first 1,000-pound attempt in a meet, and the first one was super quiet. And you're right, I got pissed, I got mad, and so I actually like called out. And you've heard my voice. Like it doesn't matter what's going on, what music's going. You're going to hear my voice above everything. And I explained to everybody in a quick way that like less than 400 people have ever done this in recorded human existence. And you've got three of them right here attempting for the first time. Like, and what was wild is we actually counted afterwards. Of that 400, like 20 of them were in the room.
Oh wow!
From like myself, Dan Bell, you had Joe Jordan, you had all these guys. Like, you got a bunch of people that have done this before, and you got new guys that are coming into the club right now. This is rare air, or like somebody who's squatting 1,100. And again, I don't think people realize this. Like, oh, I've seen an 1,100-pound squat. Yes, you understand. Less than 100 people, different individuals, have ever done this across all disciplines. You get a 1,200-pound squat, less than 20. There have been 18 people that have squatted 1,200 pounds in a meet.
Mm-hmm.
So like, without that context though, and that's why like okay, like I let the autism kick in. Like I know the stats, so like get it out there and give you that appreciation. And so like to your point, like put the respect on this that it deserves.
Mm-hmm. And with someone like obviously Rupo and like things like that other people that are going to be at the upcoming meet that we'll talk about shortly, but when you're part of that crew, you almost start to become desensitized to those monster weights because you see these freaks like him just moving it and no problem, but in your own mind you can't even comprehend doing that yourself.
Dude, you see John, you see Andrew Pfefferly every week, like you see Bobby Hume, like, okay, no problem, number 12 all time in your first multiply meet, it's gonna swallow a bullet now.
Yeah.
But like you see that, and you're right, you do get a little desensitized to it. You lose context because you compare yourself to truly what it is the elite. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not quite there. Yeah, you're one step behind. Oh, darn it. Because like a 900-pound squat, you realize less than 500 people have ever done that too. There's like less than 500 that have not done 1,000. So you're talking less than 1,000 people total.
Yeah.
That's rare air, man.
Exactly. In like a sport that's so niche that where these weights are not safe past 500. So you need to not only make sure that they're in the right headspace, that there's supporting crowds and there's proper spotting to make them safe.
Exactly. Your job, and this, by the way, if there's ever a clip that comes off of this recording, this is it right here. Whether it's in a meet or training, your job when you are spotting, doesn't matter what else is going on. If you are spotting, it is your job to make sure your teammate or that person that's lifting gets home safe.
Yep.
Period. Full stop.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like in keeping in mind when I'm spotting is assuming they're gonna miss. Obviously, you have full confidence in the lifter, but get your body ready like they're gonna miss the lift.
Yep, because when you prep like that, that also gives that lifter the confidence to say, okay, I'm gonna take this for a ride. And like you talk about people who don't miss, like Phil Herndon, I don't think I've ever seen that dude actually miss a lift, like squatting at least. I've seen him miss a bench, but I've never seen the dude miss a squat. However, I would say that if his team prepares always, like he's not going to get it. One, it also gives you the mindset of, well, fuck you, I'm going to prove you wrong. And so it is a flywheel effect that is actually very, very positive, even though it may seem negative. Like, oh no, I don't trust. No, I trust he's going to get it, but I'm prepping that he's not.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of I almost think of it as like a transfer of power in terms of
Mhm.
the anxiety levels, because when
Yep.
I'm spotting 1,000 pound squat, I'm a lot more anxious than I could imagine would be getting under one right now.
Fair, fair.
So with training, I know you have the meet coming up
Mhm.
this upcoming weekend, so this will be live by the time the meet.
Probably by the time I weigh in, or
Yeah,
right before
yeah.
I weigh in. Yeah.
And so we'll talk about a little bit about some of your expectations going into the meet, both as a lifter and as a
Mhm.
lover of the sport.
Expectations are to finish. Um, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but I think it's important to call out that I'm aware of the situation. Like, I haven't completed a meet in 26 months, and that hurts a lot. A lot of people poured into me, and so I don't try to put pressure on myself to validate that, but a part of me does. And so finish is the expectation. Uh, I don't want to throw numbers out because that is all dependent on me day.
Hmm.
Uh, I know I feel very good about my openers. I feel really, really good about my openers, including my opening bench, which, I've been a little suspect on that the last couple of years, and so it's exciting to feel confident about that again. And as far as from a lover of the sport, I'm just excited to be around that environment, lift heavy weights with a lot of my friends, and check a bucket list meet off the box, like, or off the list. Like, I've talked about this for a while that I don't care about federations. Federation kiss my ass, every single one of them. And yes, the IPA, who I will be competing in on Saturday, you get to kiss my ass too. But the APF, the WPC, the IPO, APO, I don't fucking care. They can all kiss my ass. But the good meat directors, I love them. And
Yeah.
I know Skiba because I've seen it. I've been there, and I was at Holy Wars last year. Hellbent and the Skibas and their team put on an incredible meet. And that's what I want to support. I want to support the good meat directors because they will always look past who the Fed is that sanctions their meats. Feds are and the sanctioning of meats is a necessary evil. So I want to make sure I support them. So I know they're going to put on a good meet. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Again, seeing a ton of my friends, yourself included, and that's what I'm excited about. And competing alongside Bill Lee, who's one of my teammates, who Bill and I have not competed with each other since 2021. We've trained every Sunday since then, and just for a variety of reasons, we have not competed with each other except for our first multiply meet together. And I am so excited to share the platform with him, amongst everybody else that I'll be on the platform with.
Yeah. I mean, the distinction that I pulled from that was in terms of federations. I'm fully agree with you. I think
Fuck them all.
supporting supporting the meet directors is the biggest thing you can do in the sport. A lot of meet directors are gym owners, and gym owners are small businesses. So I think supporting small businesses as well as supporting your friends in this niche sport is massively important, as well as multiple gyms might run multiple different federation meets. So you shouldn't just have to pick and choose just because they want to. Maybe they're going to make a little bit more money from this meet or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to win money in a meet. I think that'd be dope. I care, but I don't. Like, I'm self. Like, at the end of the day, like, from a power perspective, I'm self funded. I sponsor myself. Like, I so it would be nice, yeah. But yeah, I want to be around the meets, and I want to be able to tell people about these atmospheres to get more and more folks to these meets. What I would love to see is a series uh, of meets that people compete in, where at the end of the year, it's like, all right, you did 2 or 3 of these meets, which would be a banger year based on the caliber of lifter, and you got a certain amount of points or whatever. I don't know exactly how it would work, but you are powerlifting's actual world champion because you compete in these meets where the best of the best come. It doesn't matter if you're tested or not. We don't care. Wear what you want, do what you want, but come with the biggest weights and go toe to toe with everybody. I would love to see that. I know we have too much division right now to have that, but it starts with supporting the great people that actually love the sport, and then you can move on from there.
Yeah, and I'll kind of just plug this meet a little bit before moving on, because I am sponsoring this meet, and
Much
so
appreciated.
yep, this meet is Holy Wars 2 down at Hellbent Barbell in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Definitely, if you're seeing this on Friday morning and you want to make the drive down the next day, definitely go down.
Come through. The shit will be lit.
It's going to be incredible. There's probably going to be the most amount of squats over 12, 11, fucking who knows at this point, I've ever seen. And the people there, if you want to meet anyone to learn more about multiply lifting, every single top lifter is going to be there pretty much.
Here's how big of a deal this meet is. The best raw lifter of all time is going to be there too. Dan Bell's going to be there.
Oh shit, he's coming up.
Yep, because he's helping Danny and the crew.
Oh, true.
So you've got the Midwest showing out, you got Florida showing out, you got the Northeast showing. Like this is as close to the biggest multiply meet as you can get that we've talked about since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
When that 2018 WPO that was the lick, and everyone knows it. Really, like there's been a lot of splintering since then, which is fine. There's a variety of reasons why. I'm not going to knock anything. Not knocking the WPO either. This is just that's reality. Is that you have not had that since then. This is going to be an incredible weekend.
I'm very excited. And kind of going back more before we'll dive a little bit about your training and things, but I know you've been a huge part of the women's Pro-Am, one of the, if not the best powerlifting meet in the whole sport, not just for women. Obviously, Laura is a great role model. You're very connected with her, so tell us about how you kind of got involved with that and some of your favorite moments from that.
Oh man, I could literally spend a whole podcast just talking about the Pro-Am. It is. So I'll try to do my commercial for the Pro-Am, and then I'll talk a little bit about my history with it, because this will be year 5 for me at the Pro-Am. If you are involved in powerlifting, raw, equipped, if you are man, woman, both, neither, you need to be in Cincinnati at the Butler County Fairgrounds, March 22nd, 23rd. There is no better place. Listen, Mike and Jenna, I love you guys. Shauna, I love you. These incredible meets that are out there, they are amazing. But there is nothing, period. I'm looking right at the camera right now to put the emphasis on this. There is nothing like the women's Pro-Am. You'll see 2,000 plus people walk through that weekend at the fairgrounds. You see the 150 strongest, baddest chicks on the planet. And the difference that I see with that and every other meet that I go to is, guys, in the day, as cool as we are, like you and I will see each other this weekend. We'll dab each other up. Everything's good. There is always some measuring going on. Always.
Yep.
What I see at the Pro-Am is every single one of these women says, at least subconsciously, I know exactly what she's going through. I know exactly what the stares she gets, the comments she gets, all the bullcrap that she deals with. And I support her because she's here and others are not. And they know what it takes to step on the platform, no matter what it is. And the whole day is about, the whole weekend is about them. And I know that's kind of a long-winded commercial, but I'm telling you, whatever it takes, if you got to drive, fly, crawl, whatever, get to the Butler County Fairgrounds, Cincinnati, Ohio, March 22nd, 23rd. So that said, how I got involved with the Pro-Am, I was at 2020 North of the Border. 2020, yeah, and another meet that Laura used to put on. Now it's been passed to Leah Reichman, and Laura kind of knew me from spotting and doing the different things with like the WPO and whatnot. And we had this running joke that we always talk about is I was in a room with Laura 4 separate times and could not work up the nerve to talk to her. Because she's Laura Phelps, man. She's Laura Phelps. Laura Phelps Stackhouse. She's Laura Phelps. And so like I couldn't do it. And finally I did, and she was so nice. She was so sweet, and she's so amazing. And I just said, hey, if you want help next year for the Pro-Am, say the word, I'm there. And she said, yeah, like everyone loves you. I would love to have you there. And I will say this, that Pro-Am was one of my finest performances. As a platform manager, it was. But it provided incredible moments. Like one of my core memory moments from the Pro-Am was Jessica Springer pulling at that time the all-time world record deadlift. It was 640 or 635. Final lift of the day, last lift of the meet. Like, I can't remember who it was that took the picture, but they had a ladder behind the platform at the sweatshop, and you see this huge sea of people, and there's me in my stance, and there's Jessica fully standing up, and you see me in her ear, and this snapshot of just, and all you see Leah with her hands up, you see all these different people, all these reactions, and just everyone screaming and pointing. Amazing. It's so cool to be a part of that moment. And then to watch, Jess puts it down, looks for the lights, and that relief was like, okay, like it's done. And you get the lights, and then you see like the lights start to go out. And so the other video from the front is me catching her, and then her whole team just mobbing her on the platform. So it was so cool. So that's one like core moment there. That was super super dope. I mean, I've seen all time world records get hit. Seeing Leah break Becca's all time world record squat. I think that was 2022, and so that was incredible. Vanessa Torres. If you've never been at a meet where she is competing, oh my god, the pit bull she's like no other. Before her deadlifts, she either A wants to get her back slapped or she headbutts or chest butts with her head the back spotter. I didn't know this. And so this little 5'2" Finnish woman comes plowing into me on her opening deadlift. But I'll never forget that. And then by the third, I knew it was coming, so I braced myself and I gave her a concussion. And she hit my sternum. Uh, the two top moments ever though. Uh, Amber Hansen hitting at that time her all-time world record squat, but it was 23 women's pro-am. Because I heard some guy yell, "Let's go Hansen," or he said Hansen, and I always call her Major. That's her rank. Found out later that was her dad. She had no idea her dad was coming to the meet,
Oh wow.
and so like she kept it together for that because she realized in that moment like her dad was there, and it's like holy crap! Like how amazing is that to watch your daughter do that as a father of daughters. It was incredibly impactful because he used to compete as well, and Leah squatting 954 and then hitting the all time total record, getting to call that and so cool. Like it's tough to put into words to go back to that moment and because I remember saying it, biggest total all time ever, and they're cleaning the bar off, getting everything ready, and then there's Leah just like a raging bull, just ready to go, but she's super calm on the surface, but I can see it in her, I can feel it in her, and she stands up with it, and I remember whispering in her ear like, "Take in the moment." And she sets that down and she jumps into my arms and I'm like, what just happened? like, like you just took a record that's almost 20 or was 20 years old. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So my experience was I got to go to the Pro-Am last year, and at the time,
2024 or 23.
oh yeah, this year,
This year.
yeah,
I know, it's
time
almost
is
done.
yeah,
5 weeks.
time is irrelevant.
It is.
So this past March, and at the time I was still trying to get more guests on the episodes and different things. I've reached out to different people and tried to find schedules, and with Laura being a busy person, we had to kind of postpone. And then I walked up to her at the Pro-Am. I was like, "Hey, I'm Cam, wearing my shirt," and she goes, "Oh shit!" She's like, "Yeah, we'll get the episode done after this meet." I'm like, "Yeah, makes sense." But yeah, I mean, the amount of people that show up for that meet, the amount of just badass women that compete there was incredible, and definitely want to make it out there again somehow, some way.
And I'll tell you, like, there's so many women that I didn't even name that. Because I was like, I love watching women's powerlifting more than I like the guys. Because like the dudes are dorks. Like we're all dorks, man. But like you see, and I think it's cool because this is like the renaissance to me of women's strength sports, where you see these incredible women that are coming out, and you go to the program and you get to see them all kind of in one spot. You've got Jordan, you've got Amber, you got Leah, you've got Sarah Buckley, who like a lot of people kind of discount. Like they don't always think of Sarah, but like, dude, she performs and has elite totals in 5 different weight classes. Like unreal. You've got Taylor, who is just a monster. Dina, right now, she's the best in the world.
Yep.
Pound for pound total. Like we might see another 2,000 pound total. What's wild is we might see 2 to 3 people chase that at 2025 women's program.
I know, that's
Which
why
is
I want to
crazy.
go.
Yeah, like it's nuts. And then you've got some of these other folks that like again they're never lost in the fold. But like Alex Donald is one of the most technical and fun lifters to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and she just crushes everyone. And it's wild to think like here she is chasing a 600 pound pole, and I believe 600 pound squat as well. Like these are numbers that people used to dream of in gear.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what kind of the raw renaissance was for on the men's side is like suddenly you have guys hitting equip numbers raw. You're seeing the ladies side too, which is just it's awesome.
Yeah, and then the last little bit, we'll kind of shift more towards about you.
Yep.
Obviously, prep is wrapped up. You're getting a nice little deload in.
Yeah.
I guess over the years, you've probably gone through some ups and downs. Maybe tell us about some of your biggest challenges in the sport.
The biggest challenge, like right off the top of my head, is blow my arm apart in 2020. Like
Mhm.
that, it was frustrating. This sucked. If there's ever a time to get hurt, it was during the end of the world. So that was nice. But it. I hadn't had a major injury in 2+ decades, and so that was painful. And to do it at a time where I really didn't have like the powerlifting support system that I have elsewhere. And
Mhm.
I have my family. My wife is incredible. My kids are awesome. They knew I was, and they knew I was going through it. I can remember sitting out in my garage where I had my gym set up and crying and just being upset because I couldn't do more. And then also like when when can I compete again? Not like when am I going to be healthy enough to, like when can I compete again? And so that unknown part of 2020 that really messed a lot of people, right? Like time has no relevance anymore. Like that really like fucked with me. And so that was really hard to deal with. And but I came back and I came back healthy. And I said, as long as there are meets in 2020, I will compete in 2020. And so 7 months, 4 days after surgery, I was back on the platform and benched my first 400 raw bench. Actually, uh, yeah, hadn't even done it in training yet. I did it in a meet,
Okay, well, that's
and
what I'm hoping for.
yeah, that was a long time coming for that one. That was awesome. Uh, I'll temper this a little bit because this is still an ongoing struggle I deal with. Was my association with 2XL powerlifting in Lombard, Illinois. I think probably most of the listeners have some idea. I think you have some idea what all went on there. If you don't, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Uh, Two partners, actually three partners, technically started the gym. One was ousted years ago because he was a scumbag. One of the partners was charged with possession of reproduced child pornography with victims under the age of 13. And this was kind of kept secret from a lot of people until May of 21. It came out more locally. There was a whole story of he's no longer part of the business. He's not associated with it. He's just renting space from the gym to one kind of help subsidize because things have been pretty messed up since 2020. They just moved to the new gym, but he's not associated with it, not profiting off any of it. Well, come to April of last year, and it comes out that not only is he still around, he's actively participating in training and with certain people and certain folks around, and he's actually violating his not probation but his bond because he's around kids under the age of 13, and no one will turn him in that can do anything about it. And if even if we did turn him in, no one's gonna admit to it because it's his business partner. And so it was a whole thing, and I had to step away from that, and it was tough because I had friends there. I had uh, it was where I would train during the week as opposed to where I train full time at Wolfpack Barbell, and I lost a lot of passion for the sport because of that. Because that was also right after the USPA stuff. The APF fucked the dog on everything when it came to that, and it hurt and it was painful, and I had made mistakes because I had, as things would kind of come out, like I defended some of these people because I believed in one, the legal process, and also kind of the anomalies that were going on that didn't make sense, that you would have these digital things that are horrible, but you would still have access to all your internet and equipment and the ability to travel because you're a flight risk because you have multiple passports, like, but everything's fine and you don't lose any government contracts either when this is like a clause killer.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me and has been hard for me to wrestle with that. That's still something that I'm struggling with, to this day. I kind of wish it would all go away, but also like I'm not going to let it go away because also I know powerlifting has a short memory, and I mean people kind of forgot that Ricky Dale Crane was a fucking pervert too. And then when he died, everyone's like, "Oh, hey, rest in peace." Like, no, rotten pieces, you piece of shit. Your wife did a 20-year bid because you are on some Jerry Sandusky shit, and then when they didn't have enough evidence to convict you, you just rolled on her. You're a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
So because powerlifting has a short memory, I struggle with having to kind of keep this alive to make sure people realize what terrible things and decisions were made, while also having to live with the fact that I was around it for so long.
And I think this is a time I'll give you one of my favorite quotes that um, helped me through a little bit some struggles. The quote is, "So what? Now what?" So I think it's kind of something that, yeah, mistakes have been made, but like you said, with short term memory, you gotta, or like, piss on it, move on, look what's next, work on the big things, hit this big meet that you've been chasing after. And as far as the injury go, that's something that a lot of people that further into their career definitely experience at some point. and
Oh yeah,
it's whether you want to.
it's not a question of if, it's when you're gonna get hurt.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Hey man, it- so but that's the thing is like, and sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important to note that it's not a question of if, it's when. And then once you do, and you don't get an owie, you don't get, oh, I tweaked a muscle, oh god, you actually like blow something off. You have to go under the knife. Like I don't want to be that person who's, oh, you're not a real powerlifter, you should go under the knife, but like kinda. But also like I haven't had like catastrophic injuries. Like, dude, this is my distal tendon. Like, it's not catastrophic. It's bad, but it's not catastrophic. It will question your resolve. And I think that's important because as athletes, even in a hobby, if you don't have your resolve questioned, it really is, it's easy to walk back. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to LA Fitness. It's fine. I'll be strong there. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you have to make that decision for is when you go through something like that is, are you hanging them up or are you going to keep fighting? Are you going to tell the doctors to fuck off, which I think you should, and keep fighting and get back out there? Or are you going to go off into the sunset and say, oh, I had a nice little career?
And I am so lucky that my doctor, Dr. Vaskowski, was amazing. When he saw me in his office the first time, because I told him like how I did it, and he's worked on dozens of powerlifters, and his first question was, "All right, are you done, or are you gonna keep going?" I'm like, keep going. He's like, "Cool. This tweaks the procedure a little bit, but it's all I need to know." So he knew, like he knew from the jump. So I didn't have to have that tough conversation with him, and he basically, when he released me to PT, like after they got my cast off. That's also what he did too. He was smart. He lied to me and said he wasn't gonna put a cast on me. And then he put one on me when I was under.
You wake up, you bastard.
Yes, because like think about this, dude. Like you come to after being under anesthesia. I don't know how much you've been under before,
Once.
but yeah. So I've been under a few times, and I come out and I'm belligerent. If it is not exactly as I was told would happen when I come out from under, I am a belligerent drunk, and at this point I'm almost 300 pounds. So no one wants to deal with this. And now I've got a 20-pound cast on my arm. And I felt so bad because I'm like ripping the things off me and like, oh, Mr. Bain, you can't do that. I like pulled my mask down. I'm yelling at these girls. This poor little security guard comes in. This dude is a $130 soaking wet. And he's like, what am I going to do with him? And the lead's like, tase him. He's like, that's going to make him mad. He's drugged up. So like, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then, but Dr. Wiskowski did a great job. And he said, whatever they tell you as far as like the Gen Pop stuff, ask them what's the extreme, like how hard can I push this?
Yep.
It's like you're different, so ask them questions. And I had a great PT too, who's like, I've never worked with anybody like you, so like I want to push it with you. I'm like, cool. So I was released from PT in 100 days.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I think that's something that is kind of not common in the medical field. You see a lot of doctors kind of going the more cautious route when.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
well, they have to.
Yeah, and they may know you're capable, and they honestly probably deep down know that you're not going to listen to them, so they just tell you what they have to. But as outside of that, I think that's what's one of my favorite things about powerlifting, besides all the camaraderie, is the amount of life lessons you can pull from it, the resilience, the dedication. Just there's so much you can pull from powerlifting and apply it to the real world that'll make you successful.
Oh, dude, 100%. Like people think it's corny as hell, but I have all of my like major accomplishments. So like national world titles, Federation world records, like my 1,000-pound squat. I have it listed on my resume, on my professional resume. It's on my LinkedIn. Like my brand in the space, I'm the strongest man in logistics. And yes, that's usually the reaction I get is like, well, like from non-logistics people. Logistics people meet me and go, okay, that tracks. Like, how do you know you're the strongest? Like, you find me anybody else who squat 1,100 pounds in the space, I'll happily hand my title over to him.
All right, so that's something I will definitely be doing. Unfortunately, there is a shitload of strong engineers, but that maybe that'll get me a job because I am looking for a new job because this podcast does not pay.
Yeah, I get that, but no, if nothing else, it has got me into a lot of doors, and because people then ask the questions like, well, what's it take to do that? And so then like you can really get into the nitty gritty of like, I do all these things that like no one notices, no one cares about, no one likes, but everyone wants to see 1,000-pound squats. Everyone loves to see 1,100 pound, 1,200 pound squats, 700 pound benches, 800 pound. Everyone loves seeing that shit. They love it. But no one wants to see me over at Planet Fitness here in Des Plaines, Illinois, because my elbows are screaming at me all week and doing these like over-unders with the pulley, that Danny Tinahero, God, I love him so much. If people don't follow Danny, by the way, like you need to, because he is just a wealth of knowledge. But it gets his blood flowing through my elbows so they don't hurt anymore. No one wants to see that crap. But so that then translates to, hey, like when I'm slinging freight or when I'm leading, sales floors, like no one wants to do 100 calls a day. No one likes that shit. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone loves when you land Procter and Gamble or Kellogg's or Chemours or these huge, shippers, these global shippers that have $3 or $4 billion in freight spend. Everyone loves that part.
Exactly. It's kind of like the word that comes to mind is integrity. It's what you do behind closed doors. And
Oh, yeah. This sport has no integrity. Come on now.
And
we all squat high. It's fine.
High implied, baby. High implied.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But as far as integrity, it's all the extra work that you do. That's not when the cameras aren't on, when the people aren't watching, that gets you to that level to be able to put up weight like that.
Exactly. And that also, I think it's important for people to know that if you're a part of a team and they're pouring that energy into you every weekend or wherever it is and you're not doing that extra shit outside, because I've been guilty of this too. Like it's a slap in the face to them. And I'll tell you what, this is me. This was Wolfpack Barbell. The last person I want to slap in the face and insult is Steve Brock or Sean Coughlin. Those are the last two people I want to piss off.
Yeah. Well, I think we can wrap things up here. So I'll ask you my final question. If you could give a new powerlifter or someone going into their first meet a word of advice, what would that be?
Have fun. None of this shit matters. It's all a hobby. Listen, take all these people with their KG and drug free and all that crap in their Instagram handles. Take all that stuff away. What are you doing this for? You're doing it because you are a competitor on some level and you want to have something you can. So go and have fun. Because if you're going to spend all this time doing this crap and it's not fun, dude, screw it. Go bowl. Like, if you don't have fun, what is the point in doing it? And that is life advice. If you're not having fun doing something, what the fuck's the point?
Yeah. And I'll just add to that a little bit in terms of, like you said, if you're not having fun, make sure you do other shit.
Yes.
You'll burn yourself out so fast and then it won't be fun.
Yes. Dude, Donnie Thompson explained this to me so well. Powerlifting augments your life. That's it. Powerlifter is so far down my list of titles. I am husband, dad, grandfather, professional, like all this other shit. And then, I powerlift too. I'm not even a powerlifter. I powerlift. It's my hobby.
Well, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come on. It was my pleasure, and I'll see you in a few days.
It's an honor, man. Thank you for having me on.